Hey, everybody, I am back. I'm sure you're ready for the weekend, and I am here to tell you about the biggest movie that is opening in theaters this weekend. Uh, it's been nearly 30 years, it's hard to believe, since Martin Lawrence and Will Smith first teamed up to fight crime in Miami. The original Bad Boys, directed by Michael Bay and released in 1995, is unique. It was a film that captured my heart, largely thanks to their characters. Mike Lowry, played by Will Smith, and Marcus Burnett, played by uh, Martin Lawrence. That original film is one of my favorite films of all time, and over the years, it's been a franchise I have really enjoyed. That included the third installment released in 2020 that saw directors Adil and Bilal take over the franchise. That directing duo is back now 4 years later, as are Smith and Lawrence, to add another chapter to the franchise in Bad Boys Ride or Die. As we pick up, Mike is moving forward after the events of the last film. He's recovered physically from being shot and he's ready to take a step forward in his personal life. In fact, after kind of the traditional fun opening sequence between Mike and Marcus, we launch into Mike's wedding, but looming over it is the absence of Captain Howard, played by Joe Pantoliano. He was killed in the last film, and Mike and Marcus miss their friend. But Mike also still feels responsible as Howard died at the hands of Mike's son, and seemingly because someone was targeting Mike. It isn't long before the departed Captain Howard reappears, though. Some nefarious characters have made it look like Howard took bribes from the cartel to sell out cops, so he sends videos reaching out from beyond the grave. Incensed, Mike and Marcus are determined to prove it isn't true. So too is Howard's daughter Judy, played by Rhea Seehorn, a U.S. Marshal who has her own methods. After digging into the facts, Mike and Marcus turn to Mike's son Armando, Jacob Scipio, a convicted killer who sheds new light on the events surrounding Howard's death. Mike and Marcus work to use Armando to find the real mole inside the Justice Department, but it ends up putting them all in danger. Can they protect their families and find the truth before it's too late? Well, if you've seen these films, you kind of know how it's going to end. I was personally excited to see this franchise continue. As I mentioned, the first film in the franchise is a personal favorite. I own them all. I really appreciate all of them. The good here is seeing Smith and Lawrence back together. Their easy chemistry is great. They've long had a fun rapport in these films. I also enjoyed some of the action sequences from Adil and Bilal, especially the third act set piece. There are some good moments here and some pieces that work really well. My problem is this film isn't as cohesive and smooth as previous installments. The twists are really easily predictable. The cameos feel kind of and over the top, and some of the bits just don't have the pop they have in other installments. There are swaths of the film that feel really awkward and a bit like a drag. In fact, in the first and second acts, I really struggled with this film. As I mentioned, the third act action and some of the emotional resonance brought by Pantoliano and Smith were enough to pull me back in. I also enjoy the supporting work from Vanessa Hudgens and Alexander Ludwig, who return after debuting in the third installment. This is still an enjoyable watch, particularly for fans of the franchise and the genre. It just, to me, doesn't rise to the bar that they've set with these films since 1995. It's got its moments, but the sum of the parts, the sum of the whole doesn't really equal the parts. Bad Boys Ride or Die is now playing nationwide. I gave it 2.5 stars out of 5. It's not bad. It just wasn't as great as I was hoping. Well, that's going to do it for me today. If you want to keep up with everything that I'm watching in theaters, you can follow me on Letterboxd at Nighthawk7734. If you're looking for a streamer at home, I reviewed Hitman yesterday. That movie drops on Netflix on Friday, so go ahead and check that out as well. Until then, have a great weekend.